Hi and welcome to another Cafe Chronicles. I'm Steve. Last time, I think hopefully you tuned in, we took a little look at strapping that tank down nicely on the bike. Also, we had a look at putting a steel sheet underneath the seat, mounting it to the seat, and then making a bracket that could slip into the front into that little bracket that we made under the tank. So this episode, we're going to take a look at trying to brace up the frame at the back so that we can use the little locking mechanism that we made, or that we bought. We're going to try and put that in place. We're going to try and get a little stake or pole coming down out of the back of the saddle. That's going to go and click in here. So yeah, let's get stuck in. Like I said before, this isn't maybe the correct way to do it, but it's a way to do it, and I want to basically just show that if I can do this, anybody can do it. And so hopefully it'll encourage you out there, if you're thinking about it, to give it a crack. So if you have any questions too, or anything that I've done, or any suggestions or things that I could do better next time, kind of a thing, I'd love to see your comments. But don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to follow, and let's get into it. We can't forget Tim's Saturday morning here. Need to get it kick-started somehow. So the plan here with this, you'll see the way I just took a lot of material off the top here, and I've been just kind of smoothing out and lessening the outer diameter of this here. So the plan is, the reason why I have this low profile is because I want this to go between the sheet of steel that we made for the seat and the actual seat. So it's actually going to go out through, and what we'll do is we'll tack weld it then to the back of the sheet of steel so that it will stick down through the seat. Now, I don't want to weld it in place yet, because if I weld that in place, well, then we have to be sure that we get the direction and shape and everything of the cuts and slopes that we need in order for it to trap itself easily into this little mechanism here. So what we'll do is we'll make the hole, we'll bore the hole through the sheet metal and put it through. That's no problem. But even before we do that, we should probably put in place our new little frame piece here that we've made, and we'll weld that in, we'll get it in place, and we'll grind it in, make sure it looks nice and that. And then from there, we'll be able to just, from underneath the bike, we'll actually be able to get our marker up through here so that we can mark then on the bottom of the seat exactly where that hole needs to go for this post to come straight down. So that's the idea. So next we'll have a go at welding this new little frame piece into the frame and get cracking on that one. Here's a tip. Anybody gonna do grinding around coffee, don't do that. Don't know if you can see my nice coffee. It's full of steel crap. That's better. Spring's on its way. It's still early winter enough, but like I've a lot of stuff to do. You know, I'm still monkeying around on the frame here, but this is really important to get this done because I want to send the frame out, get it powder coated, and not have to think about any other things on it. So that's why I'm trying to get this stuff done now. But I get the tank painted, get the frame powder coated, and send them out. They could take a few weeks, you know, to get that done. So that's why I just kind of want to get them out and done. That way I can start working then on like rebuilding the brake calipers on the front brakes, start doing things like buying parts for the carbs, filters, cleaning up the airbox. I can do things like cleaning up the rims, rebuilding the rear drum brake. Lots and lots of stuff to do, but I don't want to start doing that without kind of getting these things out and on their way, because these are the things that I can't control, because other people got to do them for us. So I could try and spray paint the tank myself. Also I have to buy side covers for the bike as well, because it actually didn't come with the on the side covers, and I really like them. They look really good, especially when they're painted the same color as the rest of the bike. They can look really smart. This is where this is going to go, like that. And then the post holes line up this way, like that. So I have to make the decision now on, do I want the cable on, you know, this side here, or do I want it, if I flip this around that way, do I want it on this side, like that? So I can come a little bit more forward here if I pull it down this way. This here on this side would be behind the oil tank, which maybe that's not a good place for it. I could lace it down so that it's just behind the frame down there, kind of hidden, so I can get my hand in and pull it. That might be cool. Or, you know, maybe because there's going to be a little bit of a tray there, so that would mean that would just kind of stick out behind it. That could be cool. It'd be nice and hidden, because I want it a little bit hidden, because in here also I'm going to be putting the M unit, I think, you know, because it kind of can't go here on top of the battery. It might go on this side down behind the maybe I should check that now. So I think we'll go in like that. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna have to keep that tray either back here at the back. I'm gonna either have to keep that tray back here or else keep it here. It would be nice to keep it here because it's a little bit closer to the front. And I could run the loom, the wiring loom, along here and then under the tank and out to the front. Is it better to have it this way? And have the handle this side, and it'll give me a little bit more room around the electronics tray. So I could do it like this. So you'd put your hand in here at the back, and I'll make a little lever back here for it. What do you guys think? Be handy if you guys could talk right now. I'm sure somewhere on the internet there's some psychopath screaming at the moment. Don't do that, you ginger idiot. Yeah, I think I like that. And I'll just have to make sure when I put on the light and stuff that I leave a little room here to just get my hand under here. Earlier on we measured, so this little mark here and this mark, and I measured it back to this here because I'm hoping that'll be as straight as possible. It's always hard to get like a real kind of even plumb line to kind of work from these bikes because of the welds and different things. But so basically I'm just going to make a mark here to mark halfway on this and halfway on this. So that's where I should lock in I should lock these into these lines like that. I just ran out of propane for my heater, so the garage gets cold quick, especially in winter in Canada. I've had days this week that have been, it's been a mild enough winter, but a few days this week that have been like -15, so as you can imagine the garage isn't that well insulated to the outside. So it gets chilly in here quick, but I'll pop out later and get some more propane. But I'll be glad of this welding jacket right now. It's important to have the right stuff on you welding because you can get radiation burns real easy, and I've thought to myself, it's just gonna be a quick few welds and not to worry about it, you know, but you're better off to be careful. I've had burns before and it's not fun, you know. Nicely. Nice. Perfect. Because this little welder that I have is Flux core, it does MIG and it does Flux core. MIG meaning that you basically get a gas bottle here behind it, and the gas shields the weld, keeping all of the crap out of the air that contaminates it out of your way. The other way is to do Flux core, which I use. Flux core is so freaking easy because what it does is it actually, with the wire itself, it has a shielding gas kind of that's in the wire itself. So it means that all you got to do is just weld it creates a lot of like kind of dirt and slag around, so you have to kind of weld and weld away from where you've just welded. So you kind of pull the weld away from where you start, but and you have to keep going back and cleaning, otherwise you don't get a good weld. But even though that's a bit of a pain, it's still, I think, really worth it. I'd be interested to see if there's people who weld a lot, what you guys think. You might just think it's a lazy man's way, but I'd be interested to hear. But you see here, it's a really simple way to weld. You guys see that? So that's that kind of slag that shows up in the weld. See it? And you got to clean that off, because as you can imagine, with welding you're basically using electricity, and you're creating an arc, and you're melting the filler material and you're heating up the material that you're welding to in order for them to fuse. So when you've got this slag, this crap on here, what happens is you don't get that conductivity, you don't get that fusion, you don't get the arc. All I'm doing there when you see me hitting that with the grinder is you get splatter where the molten metal spits and splatters sometimes, and it forms these little, you know, almost like metal pimples. So what I'm doing is just going around and just cleaning them off. I'm just being a bit silly really, because you know, I'm gonna get this whole frame blasted, media blasted, like grit blasted, maybe with an aluminum oxide or something like that, and that will actually clean probably a lot of that little crap off. But yeah, those welds are good and strong. I have no problem with them. That will actually even strengthen the geometry of the whole frame up, just having this in here. It'll help support it, make it more rigid. But it's not going to do a huge amount, but any bracing that you can put into a frame will always help. Makes the bike heavier though. We're not really going to make a massive speed machine with this bike, so anything like that is a good thing. Just as we talk about the steel there being a little heavier when you add bracing, you guys might be starting to wonder, why is it that I put this steel sheet on the bottom of the seat? And a lot of people might be thinking, geez, that's gonna add weight to the bike. Every, you know, half pound, quarter pound that you're adding to the bike, it's adding to the overall tear weight of the bike, which inevitably draws power out of the engine, because you need more torque now. You need more horsepower, more torque to get you going. That's all fine, and absolutely, if I was making some sort of a bike that was more of a performance bike, I would definitely take that into account. But this is a 1977 Honda CB750, so even the stats and that it's rated for the engine and that definitely would fall massively short of what an engine of that size or that type today would output. So plus, because it's an old bike, I'm going to be really mothering this thing and taking it easy on it. It's not the kind of bike that you want to be like laying down in turns, because I just don't want to treat it like that. It's going to have a vintage feel to it, and it's going to be just for nipping around the city, and that kind of stuff. So that's the feel. So that's why I'm not too worried about adding little bits of weight here and there to it, you know. Initially, when we did our first kind of thoughts earlier on, we kind of thought, right, here would be a good spot to have the post come down, give it a nice amount of support. It wouldn't be interfering here. That's kind of where we based our measurements for that strut that we put in. So let's now basically place the seat into place, and we will get our marker out, and we'll see where the post really lands now, and mark it up so that it's accurate. That's where it would go into place like that. But the idea here now is to just basically get my marker and paint my area under there so that I can tell where this post is going to have to go. In the meantime here, I'm going to also, I just want to do it now, right in the middle of this area that we defined for the post. I'm going to mark it with our punch. This guy's real handy. It's an automatic punch. So what happens is you just place it in place instead of having to get a hammer and take it out. You can just do one hand. You put it where you need it and you start to push down. It compresses, makes the little counter punch, so that you can start to drill easily, you know. It's a handy little tool. So we've got the post in here, but obviously that's crazy long at the moment. You know, we'll shorten that once we know where it's gonna have to be. Moment of truth. Okay, so it fits in. Seat seems to be in a nice spot. I think that's a success, girls and boys. And it actually feels, I wish you guys could feel how secure that feels. It's really good. Now, one thing we will have to address at some stage is the fact that there is a slight gap. But you know what, I'm just thinking actually, when we get this powder coated, that's why we left it a little bit looser, didn't we? So when we get that powder coated, it's actually going to snug up even more, because there's just a tiny little bit of play, and obviously when you're sitting on it there would be nothing, but even as it is there's like nothing. What you're hearing there is just the squeaking of the lift and stuff. But if you lift the seat a little bit off the frame and give it a wiggle, it wiggles the post, you know, just a few thousandths of an inch either way. But when it's down it doesn't, and as well as that, when the frame's powder coated it'll be even more snug, I'm sure. But that feels really good. I'm really happy with that. That's awesome. Okay, yeah, that feels really nice and secure. Really happy with that. Nice, good work. So I don't have hardware at the moment to bolt in this, I don't think. I'll take a little look around, but I don't think I do. The little gate is on that side, so that means that on this side here of the post we're going to have the nice flat side that's going to help dig into that. is going to be about halfway across. Also, one thing we can have a look at the moment too is how long it is. Yeah, it's really long at the moment, but doesn't obviously need to be that long. But where we cut that notch is going to be important, and we want to cut it so that you have to kind of push it down a little bit for it to click in, you know, and that way it'll hold it a little tighter, stop it rattling around, which is ultimately a good thing. So that's it for today from Cafe Chronicles. Hope you've enjoyed checking out our little project. We're getting closer, and next move now will be to start looking at the kind of water protection and mud guards and things like that underneath, and what we're going to do with them, as well as brackets for turn signals that I've bought, and the rear brake light as well, the tail light that I've bought. Look and see what way the best way is to attach them on the frame, again because we want to make all the modifications to the frame before we go and get it powder coated, because once that's done we don't want to have to grind down any part of that, because then you open it up to rust and stuff like that. Okay, cool. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Love to see your comments and stuff in the comment section, and any feedback you have would be greatly appreciated. Also, don't be shy to email me if you have any questions about some of the stuff that I've done, or any of the equipment that I'm using, or the process that I'm talking about. Alright, until next time, take it easy.